Bob Lazar is not the best explainer of the UFO phenomenon. Here's what I want you to know, and I really mean this. I want you, after this, just like you don't really believe the moon anymore because of the evidence that I gave you there, like before you were like, oh, the moon, yeah, everybody knows we've been all that shit. But then I'm like, not everybody, and then I give you overwhelming amounts of evidence, interviews with the people running away, like all that. You're like, oh, maybe there's something to this. I want you to have the same idea. So just for a moment, how was your day?
None of them could even lie and swear on the Bible.
One of them did. One of them did, and then he said, knowing you, Mr. Sibrel, that that's not even a real lie.
Ultimately, again, in these very specific cases, she marries one of the witnesses, and she says again. So therefore, the husband is sure that Reuben is dead.
Or no. Neil Armstrong said that. Knowing you, Mr. Sibrel, it's not a real Bible. The one guy who did, he was like, they were like, yo, dog, why did you swear on the Bible and nobody else did? And he's like, well, if like he then was like, oh shit, I'm the only guy who did it, and then he has to kind of like go back on it.
She should not.
Okay.
That's 2 verses
So
2. She shouldn't rely.
This.
However, the Gemara says.
So I'm basically taking you through my footsteps of what I learned, and I'm gonna send you the link in a second.
Conversely,
I'm your friend, Esther.
That's absolutely correct. And you're using the word correctly. Many people don't, but ufology is the study of unidentified flying objects, and it's important to take
Wouldn't it be
unidentified.
No, sorry. Conversely, 2 verses 2 in the case of divorce.
That's okay, no big deal. And they've changed the name of it to UAP. So many times you hear things like UAP, but it's still the same thing. And
What's UAP stand for?
Great question. Unidentified aerial phenomena.
Aerial phenomena.
Correct.
Aerial
Because okay, I'm about to send it to you. And then, man, I'm going to watch it, but I recommend that we watch it at like 1.5 speed, just because it's slow. And, you know, it's literally just a bunch of whistleblowers. This is what I would always hear. The argument is if aliens were real, they would land on the front lawn of the White House. That's the big one. Well, they flew right over it in the 1950s, and it was on the front cover of Time magazine, and nobody talks about that cover. It's in a big triangle formation, and it says so they did do that. Then I would hear, you always hear that the person, I sent it to you by the way, the person who always sees UFOs is some like poor guy in the rural America, and they have sex with their sister, all this kind of stuff. That to just denigrate these people. All the people that you're going to see, they all work for the FAA. They work at NASA. They're doctors. They are graduate. They have graduate degrees. They're smart individuals. And so when I started seeing that, I was like, wow, this opened my eyes to it. And it happened around. Like I found out about this like 7 years later. I don't know how I even got into this, but after I saw it, I was like, wow, there must be really something to this. So all that stuff that people talk about must be real, or some of it. So anyway, I'm ready when you are. How did your mom leave? Everything okay?
She departed.
What did
we had a good trip.
What did she think of my deep knowledge of Gander? Was she impressed?
Your deep knowledge or the
Mine. I have more knowledge of Gander than the documentary. I talked about
the synopsis that we did after.
The synopsis that we did after.
She didn't hear.
She didn't hear because you were
I know. So why didn't you tell her?
earbuds.
I asked you to tell her.
But
I asked you to tell her. You didn't even talk about
taken
me.
Yeah,
You didn't even talk
taken
about me.
by-
It's fine. You didn't even talk about me. I asked you. I said, please tell her I appreciated watching the documentaries and to say hello to Christopher. And you didn't even do any of that.
No, I did.
Oh, you're tight.
No, I did.
Today. I did
In the
say
car
that.
Oh,
today.
you're wonderful.
I did
Thank
say
you.
that. Anytime.
Alright, how long is this?
Alright, how long is this?
Starter right now?
I'll start it
It's
right
like
now.
2 hours, but again, you can play it.
Jesus. Oh.
Dude,
Jesus.
calm the fuck down. You've got like 16 hours of footage you've got to watch tonight. So you better lock the fuck in and not complain. No, I'm just playing around. You watch as much of it as you want. But this is a really good initial, like, one person after another, after another, after another. Like, please believe me, this is real shit.
Alright. I'm watching it.
Okay?
I'm gonna leave the call for a
little bit, depending on.
Oh, we're not watching it together?
No, we are.
I'm just
checking food in my
checking food in my take my dog out.
You okay? Are you streaming it?
I can stream it on
the computer. That's
Oh, fuck yeah, that's what I want you to do.
Alright.
I've been patient.
Well, alright, just give me like a minute.
Take all the time that you need. I appreciate it.
Do you have a favorite
stadium?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, and you should have a favorite stadium. To be honest. If you don't know the answer to this, I'll be disappointed.
Well,
it has to do with
Bob Lazar.
Oh, interesting. Is it that baseball stadium at Area 51?
There's no baseball stadium here.
There's a baseball field and UFO field, the softball field for the people who work there.
Oh really? That's dope. When was the last time? Let me check. Are fields now considered stadiums?
Okay, well, I was going to ask clarification.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, many times they are. Ebbets Field was a stadium. Soldier Field is a stadium.
Yeah, but they have thousands of seats.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask. So this isn't an arena. This is a stadium.
Yes.
Okay, what sport did they play in it?
I mean, they would kind of give away the answer.
Okay, no big deal.
But they play a major sport.
And it's outdoor.
Yeah, it is. It is outdoor stadium.
Okay.
You can ask any questions you want. You have 20 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it in LA?
No.
Okay. And it's my favorite, or it should be my favorite?
It should be your favorite.
Well, I really like the Coliseum. I really like the Coliseum, and I really like SoFi. Those are one's in LA, one's in Inglewood, but both considered LA. Is it in California?
Nope.
Okay, but it has to do with Bob Lazar. It really does?
Vaguely connected to Bob Lazar.
Okay.
Abstract.
All right. Is it in the United States?
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so is it in Manitoba, Canada?
No.
Is it in Canada?
Yep.
All right, Canada.
That's what your seventh question.
All right. Is it in Toronto?
Nope.
Is it in Eastern Canada or Western?
Eastern.
Is it in Newfoundland?
No.
Okay, it's in Eastern. Is it in a major city in
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so is it in Montreal or Quebec?
Yes.
Okay. Is it in Montreal?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So is it where? Oh, you said it's a stadium, not a field, right?
Yep.
Okay. Is it where the Montreal Canadiens play?
Oh my God. No.
Okay. Do they play?
I thought you were gonna get it. Come on.
Is it where?
I feel like we talked about this.
Is it where the
before,
Expos? Is it where the Expos used to play?
Yes.
Because
that stadium has been said to resemble a UFO.
Oh, tight. Okay, I see.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it does look like UFO.
I'm gonna look at it right now. So I'd see why Babas are related.
Yeah.
But why would that be my favorite stadium?
Because you're so into UFOs.
Yeah, but there are
UFO stadium model.
But it does look like a UFO. But they had the
Olympics there.
They had the Olympics there. Yeah, and they did something special at those Olympics. Did you ever watch the opening or closing ceremony?
They bankrupted Montreal in the Olympics. Overspent like $5 billion.
Yeah, they did that. But did you see the opening and closing ceremonies of it?
I don't recall. Was it cool?
I think they had some kind of like UFO landing thing. Like a fake one. Like it was just like let me look this up. Because if you ever have the chance to watch the opening and closing ceremonies of an Olympics, you should, because there's a lot of foreshadowing of stuff that happens. Yo, dog, wasn't there like a UFO landing or like a fake one or something in the Montreal Olympics in the opening or closing ceremonies or something? Oh no, it was the '84 LA closing ceremony. They had a simulated flying saucer suspended from a helicopter hovering over the Rose Bowl, featuring an alien character who stepped out to congratulate mankind. And then in London, they did it. A disc shaped object was spotted hovering above the stadium, which was later identified to be something else. And then the 2024 Paris closing ceremony discussions mention a yellow alien in a ring performance representing the Voyager satellite. Okay, yeah, it was LA, not Quebec. Okay. All right. So here's my question for you.
So I'm streaming it right now. If I join on my computer, my mic is not going to work. So is there anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you so much for watching this with me. Your life. I want. Yeah, you can. You know how to do it. You know how to do it. You scroll up, and then it says start sharing or share screen. Okay, you have an iPhone? Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see at the bottom of the iPhone where you have like the camera button and the mic button?
I see it now.
Oh, I see it now. I got it.
I'd like to click up.
Yeah, isn't that amazing that they have all those settings there, but you would never know unless you literally lived on Discord like I do?
Yeah. I don't know if
you'll
you'll be able to see my YouTube.
Oh, I'll be able to see it all. Yes, sir. I see it. Baller. I would recommend turning the speed up.
Yeah, I gotta
turn your mic.
Hold on. I know. I'm gonna turn my microphone off so that you can hear me.
No, you don't have to.
No, you don't have to adjust anything.
Okay.
Side.
All right, you got it.
I'm just
balancing it with the YouTube video so the YouTube listen. Right.
Alright,
now we're good.
How many duck we're watching something right now? I can't tell.
All right, I'm going to say good morning. Let us begin. We begin by thanking our sponsors for this morning's share. We thank our commentator sponsor, Shmuel Leibovitz, for dedicating all the Shema Drushos this month in memory of Shmuel's father, Rav Peretz Avraham, and Rabbi Moshe. A week of morning sponsors, Ira Miriam Grossman, in commemoration of the outside of Ira's mother, Freda Bas Shmuel, and good. Those are our sponsors. So we thank all of our sponsors for their dedication, for their generosity, all the Shemas Hanaliyah, and the families in the Chama. And also with that, let us begin. We have a beautiful, beautiful daf ahead of us today. We actually have a lot to do today. Today's daf is Chaf Beis 22. We are picking up on Chaf Aleph on the base 21b, and we are picking up 22 lines up from the bottom. Says the Gemara, not skip la Ravash. So those if you remember again, we ended up yesterday's daf with the Gemara telling us that there are three lessons, three halachas derived from the previous sugya. Halacha number one, aid in Asad Dayan, that an aid, a witness, has the ability to morph into a judge. Now halacha number two, that Yonan Hamakir Chasim Stay, if the judges themselves recognize the signatures of the witnesses, there doesn't need to be any additional testimonial corroboration. There don't need witnesses testify about the signatures. And the last thing, Shmamina, and likewise, we also learned that if any of the judges do not recognize the signatures of the witnesses, we need to testify in the presence of each of those judges who are not yet knowledgeable or do not yet know about the authenticity of the signature. Good, says the Gemara, Maskif Rashi. So Rashi raises a kasha, and he says as follows: and I've also remember again, all of this was also learned out from the story that the Gemara recorded now. So the Gemara now says as follows. The Gemara now says, so the Gemara now says, so Bishlama Ibn Sadayin. So I understand how you can learn out the concept that the aid could become a dayan from the previous story that was explicit in the story, which the Gemara says, and the notion that if a dayan recognizes a signature, it doesn't need to be any additional testimony from witnesses to corroborate the authenticity of the signature. Maybe he can't bring that out from that previous story. Why? Maybe really you do need shiny hacha to come a kaima hagod to the chad. Maybe there was, remember again, maybe the previous case was different. Remember there was, in the case that we mentioned yesterday, 2 out of the 3 dayanim recognized the signature. The third did not. So maybe again in that case, at the end of the day, we did have 2 of the dayanim testifying in the presence of the third. Therefore, there was some level of testimony. But dayanim she'in makir chasim is there even And I want to say about the idea that if the Dayanim do not recognize the signatures, so you have to testify in the presence of each of the Dayanim. Maybe in general, I would say actually don't need to do that. Shiny Hacha, this case was different. Why? Shiny Hacha, because if you don't have any type of testimony, then Lamaisa, let me see differently. If the two would not have testified in front of the one, then halacha lamaisa there would be no form of testimony at all. Okay, so we'll say so. Interestingly enough, the Gemara wants to highlight these three halachas, yet the Gemara challenges these three halachas and telling us you can't necessarily derive it from the story. The we'll say is we're going to see further. We will see the concept of Eid Na'asadayon is an interesting tested idea. But I will point out what I say is that halacha l'maisa, the one piece that we absolutely do walk away with is if Dayanim recognize the signatures, there is no need for additional testimony. That is halacha l'maisa, and that is incredibly important as well. So again, the only time we're going to need witnesses to testify to the authenticity of the signatures is in a situation where halacha l'maisa, the Dayanim themselves don't recognize. But if they recognize it, we're good to go. Says the Gemara Baiter. Says the Gemara Baiter. Good. Yossi Rabbi Abba V'Kamei Hashmaita. The Eid Nasadai. So Rabbi Abba was going ahead and was telling over this concept that an Eid could morph into a dayan, which I will say, if you think about it, is a profound idea, right? An Eid can become a dayan. So the Gemara says, "Is Safra the Rabbi Abba?" So Safra raised the question of Rabbi Abba, and he said, "Ra'u shlosh shavein beis din." So we'll say, we'll ask a question from the Sachas Rosh Hashanah. Listen to this case. Let's say 3 people saw the new moon. 3 people saw the new moon. Ra'u shlosha shavein beis din. And ultimately, obviously, so 3 people saw the moon, and the 3 people who saw the moon also had
new fee.
Every be a Bezdin. So what's the halacha? The Bezdin, remember again, you need a Bezdin to be the Kaddish, the Chodesh. In general, to sanctify the new month, you need 2 things. You need 2 witnesses who saw the new moon, and they need to give up over that testimony in front of a Bezdin. So now, interestingly enough, what do you have over here? You have 3 people who happen to be a Bezdin who saw the new moon together. So what should we do? Here we go. So so what happens? 2 of the 3 essentially act as the witnesses. They act as the witnesses. So 2 of the 3, 2 of the 2 separate from the group, they become the witnesses. They add on 2 more dayanim, 2 more judges, and ultimately again they give their testimony. Yomru mekudash, and then after the 2 give their testimony, then the 3, so let's remember again, the 3 who are now the new Beis Din are constituted of the 1 earlier Dayan and 2 new additional Dayanim. So then the new Beis Din could say, Mekudesh, the new month is sanctified. Why? Shein in Hayavid, Ne'eman al Yidei Atzmo, because at the end of the day, an individual is halacha l'maisa not to believe on his own. Okay, so we'll say, says I don't understand. But if you hold that an aid could become a dayan, why do you need this whole process? So we'll say, remember again, just to review, the process in Rosh Hashanah is you have a Beis Din that sees the new moon. They saw it together. So 3 guys, a Beis Din of 3 saw the new moon together. Now, what do we need? We need 2 things. I need testimony, and I need a Beis Din. Right? The testimony is necessary to ascertain that there's the new moon, and the Beis Din is necessary to declare the new month. So what do we do? 2 separate themselves out from the Beis Din, become the Eidim. Now we're left with only one dayan. So we add on two more dayanim. So now again, the two witnesses, two quote-unquote witnesses, will go ahead and give testimony in front of the two dayanim. So says the Gemara, the Isa like the Eina Sadayan Amni Kulihai. So if you're the Allah for the Maisa, Eina Sadayan, then why do you need this whole thing? Why do you need this whole thing? To which the Gemara says, Lace with the Chayru, then can't she just go ahead and let them stay in their place and let them be Mekadesh the Chodesh? In other words, I would say, if an Eina Sadayan, then just go and do this. Let two guys give testimony, right? So in that moment, what are they? They're Eidim. And in the next moment, then what? Let them morph into Dayanim. In other words, and you can use this same pool of three for everything to give testimony. And then again, after they give testimony, they can morph into Dayanim, and they can be the very base that is Mekadesh the Chodesh. Why is there a need to go ahead and halacha l'maisa? Why is there any halacha l'maisa? To enfranchise more people onto a beis din, to which the Gemara says, "Amalei aflu didi kasha." So he said, "You know what? They truly that had the same kasha." U'she'ilde Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta, Rabbi Yitzchak Rav Huna l'chia barav, l'chia barav l'rav. So I say, and all of these Rabbanim asked the question. And ultimately, again, they asked the question to Rav. Right? They went up the ladder, went to Rav, what did Rav say? V'amalahu, Hanok le'edos hachodesh. Apples and oranges. Kiddush hachodesh, I will say, Eidos hachodesh is a daraisa. It's daraisa. Hanok le'edos hachodesh daraisa, v'kiyem shtaras d'Rabbanan. Oh, to which the Gemara says, no, you're making it. Rav says you're making a profound mistake. You're treating all pieces of testimony the same, right? That they're all one unit, but it's not true. It's not true. In fact, halacha l'maisa, again, there are different forms of eidos. Up until now, what have we been talking about? Am I saying kiyum shtaras? The concept of kiyum shtaras is a d'Rabbanan, right? Remember, you know, say midaraisa, if you have a shtar is a shtar. Right? With Rabbanan, there's a concept that halacha l'maisa, if the shtar is challenged, so there's a way to go ahead and certify the shtar. That process is called kiyum shtaris. What do you need for kiyum shtaris? So you need a couple of different things. Either you need there's a machlok is exactly what you need. But for our purposes, what you need is a beis din to go ahead and uphold the shtar through testimony. So I need dayanim and I need eidim. Since it's the Rabbanan, Chazal said, you could use the same tool for everything. Eid Naaseh Dayim. So you can have guys who act as witnesses and then morph into judges. In Eidos HaChodesh, which is Eidos Da'araisa. In Da'araisa, what's already in Da'araisa? I need Eidim, and I also need a beis din. In that case, we do not say Eid Naaseh Dayim. In that case, you need two distinct groups of Dayanim and Eidim, and therefore I will say, in the example that we gave, when a group of three who are based in see the new moon, two separate themselves, they become Eidim. And once they become Eidim, they can no longer be what? Dayanim. So we need to add on two more to make Dayanim. So therefore I will say, really incredible. What comes out of here, therefore, is halacha l'maisa what? We hold Eid Naaseh Dayim, but only in what case? Only what case? Rabbanans. But with the Oraisa, we do not hold it Eid Naaseh Dayim. Incredible. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Rav, Amar Rab. Shlosha sheyashvu b'kaim es hashtar. We'll say, listen to this case. Three people sit down to go ahead and certify a document. So we'll say, so remember again, this is now a beis din. So let's try to understand what's happening over here. A beis din is coming to sit down to go ahead and certify a document. They're going to work through this process and certify that the document is in fact a legitimate document. Okay, and remember again, What's going to be the result of that process? What's the result of that process? What we call a handpick, right? Or an asharta. We're going to go an actual certification, a certification that is written on the document itself. That's what we're going to do. So the three sat down. The current era left on the hand, but someone raised an objection, or an objection was raised about one of them. So what was I saying? Now, essentially, the type of objection we're talking about is not kind of objection. The type of objection that would validate this person from serving as a dayan, or at least that's what we assume. So once they say, what do I do? So the Gemara says, okay, not a problem. So the Gemara says, Ad shelo chasmu mi'i de'alav b'chosei. Now I will say, here's the interesting case. We're gonna clarify this in just a moment. But it's easy. Here's what's happening. You've got Reuben, Shimon, and Levi. Right? They're sitting down to certify a document. As you're sitting down in the certification process, an objection is raised about the legitimacy or fitness of Reuben. It happens to be that Shimon and Levi know that the objection is not a valid objection. So they can testify, in other words, not a testimony earlier, they can testify that the kashrus of Reuben. So the Gemara says, if they have not yet signed the certification, the handpick, the asharta, if they have not yet signed it, they could testify on behalf of Reuben's behalf, certifying that Reuben himself is fit to serve as a dayan, and then they could all sign on the certification on the handpick. However, if they signed the certification and then the objection was raised, then I will say at that point in time they can no longer testify about Reuben. Why can't they testify about Reuben? Why not? Because I'll say here's the problem. The problem is now the testimony looks biased because here Shimon and Levi are signed onto a certification together with Reuben. So the truth is, it's going to be embarrassing for them and erode their personal legitimacy if halacha l'maisa Reuben turns out to be unfit to give this to be a dayan. So therefore, we can't trust what they say because they may just be trying to save their own reputation. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, that's Rashi and that. Now at this point in time, they're no geh be'edus. That's right, they have a vested interest in the testimony. Because it's embarrassing for them to be part of a certification together with someone who is a apostle. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So the Gemara says, let's talk about this a little bit. When we talk about the fact that Reuben, there's an objection raised against Reuben. What type of objection? So I will say, if somebody comes forward and says Reuben is a god, you know this dayan, he's an embezzler. He runs a Ponzi scheme. Right? He went ahead and he stole money. He's a gazlan. So the Gemara says, top of Kaf Bezim with Aleph, training. So everyone says, so here's the problem. So now let's say Reuben, Shimon, and Levi are sitting together. They're about to certify the document. Right? So now what's happened? So guys, so A and B come forward and say Reuben is unfit. He's a gazlan. Okay, so now what's going to happen? Shimon and Levi are going to come along and say what? He's not a gazlan? So okay, I said, no, it's not true. He's not a gazlan. Okay, we'll say, what do we call this in halacha? Trey or tray. And we'll say, what's trey or tray? Two witnesses against two witnesses. See, here's the problem. Two witnesses against two witnesses are not going to be enough to restore Reuben's Pesach's kashrus. Look at Rashi, Rashi Achaf Bezim with Aleph. So, ki amri lo gazal havelu trey or tray, v'lo miskasher b'hachi. I will say, so remember, again, so let's go back for just a moment. What's happening over here? Reuben, Shimon, and Levi are at Beis Din. They're sitting down together to certify a document, right? Based on the previous sugya, they recognize the signatures on the document, so they can go ahead and certify it on their own. They don't need additional testimony. As they're going through this process, someone or two other guys come in, A and B come in and say, Reuben is a thief. He's a gazlan. He's a gazlan. So what did the Raisa say? If Shimon and Levi know it's not true, as long as it's before they signed, as long as before they signed the certification, they can testify on Reuben's behalf and restore Reuben's cheskes kashrus. To which the Gemara says, why? That's not true. If A and B come along and say, Reuben's a gaz, but Reuben and Shimon, the other two guys on the base, and say, no, he's not, that's 2 against 2. 2 against 2 doesn't restore the cheskes kashrus. 2 against 2 prevents anything from happening, right? 2 against 2 prevents the thing from proceeding, but lamaisa, the cheskes kashrus is not necessarily restored. To which the Gemara says, oh, so maybe A and B are coming along, and what are they testifying about? They're testifying that Reuben is unfit genealogically, right? He's a mamzer. He's a mamzer. He's an Eber. Actually, this mamzer is not a good example, because mamzer actually would be fit to serve on out, right? But he's an Eber. Actually says over here, he's an Eber. He's an Eved. Ultimately, again, right, he's an Eved, and therefore, again, Allah is not fit to serve on the base. So if that's the and what do I say now? So I'll explain this out. So A and B come along and say that Reuben is an Eved, and now Shimon and Levi come along and say what? No, he's not. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. In this case over here, so the Gemara says, in this case over here, no, I'm sorry. See, I will say, when you make a genealogical claim against someone, the truth is, that is actually, how do you resolve that claim? How do you resolve the claim? How do you resolve it? You investigate. In other words, I will say, that's the it's recently of genealogical claims, the type of things that Eidos tells us that there's an issue that needs to be investigated. But that is something that we can clarify. So Allah says, somebody walks into the basement and says, Reuben Nadayan is an Eged. Okay. The fact that Shimon may be saying, no, he's not, that doesn't do anything for us. We're now going to have to investigate and get to the bottom of it. To which the Gemara says, you're right. Listen to this, what I said. This is such a beautiful Gemara. Here's the case. Here we go. Get ready. Reuben, Shimon, Levi are a Beis Din. They're sitting down certifying the document as they're in the process of certification before they've signed the certification. A and B, 2 more witnesses walk in. They say Reuben is a gazlan. He's a thief, unfit to go ahead and engage in this process. And I will say, what does Shimon and Levi say? Get ready for this. Reuben and Shimon say, Yadinan paid the other tshuva. Wow. Reuben and Shimon say, okay, you're right. Reuben was a thief. He was a thief, but we have to know that halacha l'maisa, he did tshuva. Now, ask yourself, how could you know that someone did tshuva? So Rashi says over right across the Rashi, the other tshuva, the Heishavas Hagizela, he returned the stolen item. So I will say that's why the Gemara says something very specific over here. You see, with Gezel, with that, you can know whether or not someone did tshuva or not. Now, granted, there's 2 parts to tshuva. There's behavioral tshuva and ultimately emotional or spiritual tshuva. You can't necessarily know someone did emotional or spiritual tshuva, but when I say somebody stole an object, I can know whether or not they returned it. So I will say, this is actually pretty amazing. So therefore, again, Allah Chalamaysa, what people are suggesting is like this. Now we understand the Brisa. So Reuben and Shimon and Levi are a base, and they're sitting down to certify a document. A and B roll it. Reuben's unfit. He's a Gazlan. Shimon and Levi happen to know that Reuben did tshuva. So they want to say, no, Reuben did tshuva. So they'll say, what's the halacha? Can they restore Reuben's legitimacy and finish the process of Kiyum Shtaris? To which the Gemara says, it depends. What does it depend on? That they already signed the certification or not. If they have not yet signed the certification, then Shimon and Levi will be believed to testify on Reuben's behalf, and halacha l'maaseh certification could proceed as planned. If, however, this certification was already signed, we no longer accept Reuben and Shimon's testimony. Why? They're no of the government. Because now Rabbi say they have a vested interest in clearing Reuben's name because they're signed on a document together with. Incredible. Rabbi Zera, Hamus, Rabbi Abba Shmueli. Rabbi Zera said, I heard this thing from Rabbi Abba. Ve'ilav Rabbi Abba dinin Akko shachachta. And we're not from Rabbi Abba. From Rabbi Abba of Akko, I would have forgotten it. And had he not reminded me, right, I would have forgotten it. Well, let's say, here we go, listen to this halacha. Let's say, but just before we go on, I find the quite as well say, if you think about this previous Gemara, just understand what the Gemara is talking about over here. You have three guys who are sitting on a base there. Right? Now, granted, this is not the Sanhedrin Adabri over here. Okay, I said it's a base din. And what happens? Shimon and Levi know that Reuben is a thief. Reuben was a thief. And they also know that Reuben did tshuva. They will say, sometimes what keeps us from making the changes we need to make is embarrassment in front of others. Right? Because sometimes if I change certain things about my life, other people may find out about things that I did do, behaviors I did engage in, lifestyles I did have. And so often, again, people are finding out about things prevents me from making the necessary changes I need to make. So as we see over here is that tshuva requires a certain degree of personalistic bravery. Sometimes a person has to be, so what people know or people don't know doesn't really make a difference. What matters is that I become the best version of me. Here, Reuven is sitting on a base. Think about it. Reuven is sitting on a base. Shimon and Levi know that he was a thief. They know it. But they also know that he became about tshuva. And I will say more important than them knowing that he was a thief was them knowing that he was about tshuva. Sometimes you have to worry a lot less about what other people think or what other people will think, and just focus on doing the right thing for ourselves. I know that I have to be good. I know that I have to become published. I know that I have to become special. I know that I have to become better. This one's going to say this and this one's going to say that. It's a big difference. Do what you have to do in your Avodas Hashem. Do what you have to do in your personalistic evolution. Become the best version of you. What people will say, hey, and at the end of the day, I will say, what do you see? At the end of the day, when you make the necessary changes in life, people respect you more. You see, I will say, you'd be tempted to say, how many of us would sit on a base in the crowd where our role is a thief and became a black sugar? Not me. I mean, you're not tzaddik, but I wouldn't want to do it. And yet, you see, what do you see over here? Shimon and Levi respected him. They know his past. They know his past. But more important than his past, they know his present. His present. Because it's about tshuva. When someone's about tshuva, there is no greater title, no greater accolade in life than to talk about tshuva. Remember, Yorgo Zeiger. Yosh Yoshel Kaimas Ashtar. So I'll say, here we go. Another interesting case. Three people were sitting down to go ahead and certify a shtar. So we'll say, so again, this is the basis. So this is now a basis certifying a document without edus. They recognize the signatures. So Gimel Shoshel Lekayim Shtar and one of them died. They have to write the most of plus Sahavina Bechad Les Havin. Everyone say, just to illustrate what the problem is with this case. Not the problem, but what's going on over here. Reuven, Shimon, Levi sat there at base. Again, no one's a thief, everyone's a Chura, who shall be valid Chura. Right? And they're sitting down to certify a document. They're going through the whole process. Document is good to go. Right before they sign, Reuven dies. So we'll say, so now the certification is valid because the certification was done with a basin of 3. So we're good on that level. The shiner now is how do we sign this document? You obviously can't sign Reuven's name, dead. So the Maisa, what do we do? So the Gemara gives a formulation. What's the formulation? They should say, the Mosa plus Sabina, we were a group of 3, Bichad Les Habe, and one is no longer. Right? So we'll say, so ultimately, so this, what do people see? What do people see when they read that certification? What they see is the actual certification itself was done with a group of 3. A proper certification with 3 was done at the end of the day. But the Maisa, by the time it came time to signing it, one was no longer, one had passed away. Because of they, alternatively, if you wrote the following, so you can also write, this document came before a basin. I will say, if you write this document came before a basin, that's enough. Why? Because what does a basin automatically mean? 3. So I will say, the idea over here, as the Gemara is saying, is the certification, which first of all, I will say, one important element, which the Gemara is teaching us, which is apparently that if you have a basin of 3 sitting to certify a document, and they went through the process of certification, but one dies before signing, the certification is still valid. But somehow, here's the problem. The certification is valid, but where do you run into a problem? How many signatures are you going to have on the certification? Only 2. So the verbiage of the certification has to reflect the fact that it was done in the presence of 3. So now we have 2 possibilities. Possibility A is ultimately, again, to write the Mosa plus Savina. This document was certified in front of 3, but one is no longer. Sounds very polite, right? But one is no longer. That's one possibility. Or possibility number 3 is just to say this document was certified in the presence of a Beis Din. You only have 2 signatures. All right, people will understand between the lines what happened, that one of the Dayanim must have died. So the Gemara says, the Gilma Beis Din Chatzim. 1 second. Maybe it's a chutzpah dik Beis Din. So we'll say, what's a chutzpah dik Beis Din? Watch this. Shmuel says actually quite interesting. Shmuel says that Meikra Din, you could have 2 people act as a Beis Din. You can have 2 people act as a Beis Din. And Shenikra Beis Din Chatzim. Shmuel says they're called the chutzpah dik Beis Din. So, technically speaking, if you have a Beis Din that are 2 that adjudicate, what they adjudicate stands, but they're called the chutzpah dik Beis Din. The Siv, So therefore, we'll say. So here's the problem. So maybe when you have a document that says this, or certification that says this certification was done in the presence of Beis Din, people, when you have 2 signatures, people say, oh, so you see from here that a Beis Din of 2 works, but a Beis Din of 2 is called the chutzpah dik Beis Din. First, we want to say that Siv, Beidina de Rav Naashi. It says in the document, to use the wording, a Beis Din, like the Beis Din of Rav Naashi. Rashi, it was like Rashi, actually Radi Plus, Kibei Dina de Rav Naashi, Alcha de Nosa Rakichu, your Rosh Shiva Venosa Nachasya, Mirav Nachem Bar Yitzchak, the Mamari the Shmaita, the Badai Beidina de Rashi Love Dina Rasre. In other words, it was like you add in some type of verbiage that essentially says this Beis Din operates in accordance with the standards of what they did. Like this basin operated like the basin of Ravashi. And therefore what you're doing is you're certifying that this was a basin of what? A basin of three. You just happens to be one of the Dayanim died before they could sign the document. Kiddush the Gemara says, I would demo the Rabbanim the Beir Ashi, Kiddush Shmuel the Sidvei Ba'amalana Rav Naashi. They'll say maybe they hold like Shmuel, but ultimately again a basin of two ultimately could work as well. To which again the document says Va'amar Lana Rav Naashi. She says Liz Dakuke lay Likayume the Chavim de Rav Ashi Gufei Yiskiku. So I'll say in other words they added in the document itself that Allah Paramaisa this was done under the guidance of Rav Ashi. The idea being Rav Sai that Allah Paramaisa there has to be something in the document indicating that this Beis Din operated in accordance with the standards of what they did, which only use what they did not through Dayan. Instead of say, what comes out of it is really something interesting. Whereas normally Kiyum Shtaris will require three Dayanim, if Halacha Lamaisa again, three were present for the actual certification, but one died before the signing, actually the Kiyum, the certification can proceed, right? With the two, but it's not really with the two, it's really with the three, but Allah there has to be some type of verbiage in the signing itself that indicates this was done, this was done in accordance with proper days and protocol. Incredible. We'll say Mishnah, fascinating Mishnah. Aisha Sha'amra, Aishes Ishayisi, Uglusha Ani, Namaras. Let's listen to this. Woman comes in front of Beis Din, and here's what she says. She says, I was married, but now I'm divorced. I was married, but now I'm divorced. Someone said, what's the halacha? She's believed. Why? So this is, again, another illustration of this principle that we've been using now for the last couple of years, which is, if you come into Beis Din and you provide information that we did not know without you, then what? You are believed to qualify that information as well. They will say, what's the logic of it? It's a migo. What's the migo? You could have said nothing at all. You could have said nothing at all. We would have never known anything different. So a woman comes into Beis Din. She says, I was married, but now I'm divorced. What do we say? Okay. Right? In other words, fine. In other words, we believe you because we did not know you were married. So now that you told us, you gave us the information. Right? You asserted yourself, so to speak, by saying that you are a married woman. Now you permitted yourself by saying that you are a divorced woman. We believe you. However, if there are witnesses that she was married, he omeres grushani, and now she says, no, but my husband divorced me. She's not believed. I will say, when we say she's not believed, we mean she's not believed without producing some type of proof. In other words, because I will say, in this case, remember again, her status as an Isha Ish is independently established through Eidos, and therefore her mere word is not enough to change that status. Similarly, Amra, Mishpei Sitar, and let's listen to this interesting case. She says, I was taken captive, but I was not violated by my captors. Ne'amanas, she is believed. Why? Because remember again, we had no idea that she was taken captive. So again, she's providing us the information that she was taken captive. Therefore, she is believed to qualify it. However, Bim Yesh Edim Shenishbis, Yomer's Tahora Ani, Aina Ne'emenes. Rabbi said, halacha l'maisa. However, if there are Edim that say that she was taken captive, but she claims I was not violated, she's not believed. Right? Rabbi said, why? Because remember again, we assume that Stam Shivu, a regular woman taken captive, is violated by her captors. So if her Shivuya status is independently corroborated, she is not believed by herself to qualify it without some type of basis. So again, I'm going to say same cases. The Mishani says Bo'idim Harizulotina takes it. However, if she remarried and then witnesses come, she does not have to leave her husband. So I'm going to say it is not clear at all what that line of the Mishnah is referring to. The Gemara will discuss it. I'm going to say, here we go. I'm going to say, it's incredible. Amar Rabbi Yasi, Minayla Pesha, Asra Pesha Hitir. We've been talking about this for like 3 months. I said that the Gemara said, by the way, how do we know the concept of Pesha Asra Pesha Hitir? How do I know that idea? That if I'm the purveyor of information, I find the source of the information, I am believed to qualify the information as well. So Minakar as Bitina Sakil Ish Hazeh, the Isha. But so listen to this. This is talking about the father who married off his minor daughter. And remember, I'm going to say this is a situation where the husband claims that she was not the Basuba. She was not the Basuba. So listen to the passage. As Isha. Father says, I have given my daughter to this man as a wife. So you must watch this. What's happened? The Ish, when the father says, I've given her to this man, Asra, he has prohibited his daughter to everyone. Hazeh, Etira. So this is Rabbi say, here's what's interesting. When the father says, I've given my daughter in marriage, she becomes Asura to her, to everyone. Because after that statement, I don't know who she's married to. Then when the father says, Hazeh, to this man, she becomes permitted to this man, and Asura to everyone else. So most like, interestingly enough, the Gemara suggesting that the source of Hapesh Sha'asar Rapeh Shehitir. The father asks straight to everyone by saying, I married her off. Doesn't tell us, so I married her off. She's asur to everyone, and now he permits her to the man whom he identifies as her husband. Fascinating. To which the Gemara says, I understand. Love Malikra. The truth is, about say you don't need a pasuk for Pesha Asra Peshetir. Why not? Svarali. Who Asra? Who Sharilay? The most say Pesha Asra Peshetir is just a svara. And I will say, in fact, it's a nigo. And it makes you don't need a pasuk. You don't need a pasuk. If you are the only source of information, and you could have kept quiet and not shared anything, but you choose to divulge, then by definition we don't your qualifications as well. It's svara. It's svara. To which the Gemara says, "Elo kitzricha." You're right. The Gemara says you're right. So I'm going to say, it turns out that Pesha is a svara, not a pasuk. I svara I use the pasuk for. First, listen to this. So if tzricha the kidra pura damar pura once the pasuk is necessary for something else. Minayin la'av sheneman that starts bita benadora. How do I know that a father has the ability to answer his daughter? In other words, also, what does that mean? I don't know that a father has the ability, ultimately, again, to answer his daughter to everyone else in the world. Which the Gemara says, because the daughter says, I've given my daughter to a man. In that moment, when he says that statement before identifying who he's given his daughter to, what has he done? He has answered his daughter to everyone in the world. Because in that moment before he says Hazeh, again, she's asura to everyone. Hazeh lamali. So what do I need ultimately again to the Hazeh? So the Gemara says, by the way, so we'll say first of all, look at Rashi. Shneman Lasar is Bito. Kishikitana or Nara, Sheviyodu Lakacha, Kidamina Gagnara Shlevaka. Now Shim Amar Kidashkia Leploni, Shuneman Osra Lakar. So most of what this means is as follows. In general, a father is believed to say, I was Mekadesh my daughter to a particular man. He's believed. Why is he believed to say that? That comes from this pasuk. As biti nasati leish. Father is believed to say, I have given my daughter over in marriage to someone. What do I need the hazeh for? So here we go. I need the hazeh as follows. If you tell Rabbi Yonah, as biti nasati leish hazeh below liyav. This is very interesting. It ultimately, again, the claim of a lack of bisulim, ultimately, again, can only come from a husband, cannot come from Yavam. Okay, interesting. Aisha sha'amra isha ishes ishani. Well, so here we go. More cases. A woman says, I was married. Someone says, so first of all, very exciting sugya, very exciting sugya. We actually just learned the source. Here. We thought it was a pasuk. It turns out it's not a pasuk. What is it? Svara. Svara, which of us I think has been the premise that we've been operating on or with since the beginning of this surah. Here we go. Aisha sha'amra Aisha ishani v'chazra va'amra v'nuya ani ne'emeres. So the Gemara says, if a woman says, I'm married, she claims I'm married, and then she says, no, I'm single. She's believed. Again, as you see, Pesha Pesha hit there. First, 1 second. Ba'ashadi and nafshe lechaticha di'isu. But listen, we learned again the concept that you could change your own status. But she says, I'm a married woman. And listen, she conveys upon herself or confers upon herself a particular prohibited status. So why is she just permitted to just flippantly change that? Which oh, what's happening over here? The one saying she gives an amasla. Amasla is an excuse or an explanation. Rabbi will say, what's happening over here? She makes the claim, I'm a married woman. And then she turns around a little bit later and she says, no, I'm single. And we say, hey, what's up? What's up? And she explains why she said what she said. In that case, she is believed. So the Gemara says, Tanya Rabbi said, support this. Amra Ishes Ish Ani. The Chazra Amra Kinuya Ani. If a woman says, I'm a married woman, and then she turns around and she says that I'm single, she's not believed. Because once she says she's a married woman, she's conferred upon herself a status of Yisr. She's not then believed to simply say, no, I'm not married. However, first one on the bottom, if she provides an excuse or an explanation of her words, then she's believed. Rabbi said the Gemara gives a story. Listen to this. Let's listen to this. There was once a very beautiful woman, and she was beautiful, or she looked beautiful, and she also was chasher. She had status. What happened? The Kavtsu Allah bin Adam Lakaksha. But Allah Ani. So what happened? So there were a number of men who were obviously very interested in her, and they were pursuing her, and she kept saying to these men, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Nikki Deshes. I'm already betrothed. And a little while later, right, Yamim, under the Kitches Hatzma. They will say, by the way, you can see this, also the Lashon over here is very interesting. Kitches Hatzma. Kitches Hatzma means what? She decided who she was going to become the Kudeshes to. This was an assertive woman, right? So in other words, no one was being the Kadesh her. She was allowing herself, right? Kitchel Yasma, she was giving herself in Kiddushin. So the point over here is, a little while later we hear that she has Kiddushin. So what's going on? So the Gemara says, Amrullah Chachamim Mara Islasos came. Some say, what's going on? How could you become a Kudeshes now? You told people before that you're already a Kudeshes. Amr Lahem, Betchila Shabbat Alayim Hashim Shenem Ganim, Amarti Mikudeshes. Before, the suitors, the guys were coming to me, were not worthy husbands. So I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings or say, decline the shidduch. So what did I say? I said, I'm Mikudeshes. Sorry, taken already. However, Achshav Shabala Anash Ganim, Amarti Mikudeshes. But now, Baruch Hashem, that I had better prospects, right? Better shidduchim. So now I allowed myself to become mature. Kiddush Des Hatzmas, Mekadosh myself. Shabbat says so. So the Gemara says, Holcha. So this is an example of an amasla, where a person says something, then changes, right? A person says something which sets their status a certain way, then says the opposite. If they give an amasla, if they give an explanation, then we accept the qualification. And this also is halacha of Acha. The Sarabira went ahead and brought the Chacham and Usha. V'amru im nosna amasla v'dvareha ne'emeres. If indeed she gives an amasla for her words, ultimately, she is believed. So we'll say, and that seems to be the halacha l'maisa. So we'll say, we have a lot of different things happening over here. So first of all, we have hapesha asar wa'pesha hitir. Right, so we'll say, so remember again, Parashas Rabbi Rothschild will say is you give information, you're believed to qualify that information. That's case one. And I will say that's different than the case we're dealing with over now. What are we dealing with over now? What are we dealing with now? Where a person says one thing and then what? And then what? Says the opposite. So I will say Parashas Rabbi Rothschild is a woman says, I was married, but now I'm divorced. Those are not contradictory things. Those are not contradictory things. That's a narrative. That's a narrative. So if she's the one who introduces the information to us, she's believed to qualify. How do we know that? Svara. Case two, Rabbi says a woman shows up and she says, I'm married. And then she says, I'm single. Now she's saying contradictory things. It's contradictory things. So I will say in general, if a person says contradictory things, what do we do with contradiction? We ignore it. In other words, we say no. Once you said first established your status, you can't just simply make that switch off. However, if the person provides an amasla, an explanation as to why now they're providing contradictory statement about themselves, then what? Then they're believed. So a woman says, I'm married, and then she says, I'm single. We say, no. You said you're married. That's it. We're not listening to the fact that you say that. Now to come along, would you say, no, I said I was married because at the end of the day, I was getting propositioned by these guys for marriage and not suitable suitors. So I just wanted them off my back. That's why I said I was married, but I'm really not married. Okay. That we can believe. And I must stop. What says goodbye to Bagnish Momerat Merav, Amr Timea Ani, the Chazer Amr Tahora Ani Mao. What's the interesting case? What happens if a woman says to her husband, Amanida, I'm Timea, and then she turns around and she says, I'm Tahora, I'm not a Nida. What's the halacha? So Amr Lei, Af Bizu, Im Nasna Amasla Amr Days. Okay, so we'll say again, it's the same halacha. If she gives an amas, if she gives an explanation, right? In other words, so you're saying you're a nida, now you're saying you're not a nida. Okay, so just what's going on? So if there is a legitimate explanation for this, then einachinami, that's fine. So terminate on one zimin. So we say Shmuel learned this halacha 40 times. The Gemara says, "Vafilu hachi lo avad Shmuel uvda benafshe." Shmuel did not accept this halacha when it came to his own circumstances. I will say, what are his own circumstances? If you look at Tosis, this is actually very interesting. Tosis says, "Abinu Chanana Hegu Yerushalmi, Shmuel ba'alis that kuki le'isisim." So Shmuel wanted to have relations with his wife. Amrle Timea Ani, she said, "I'm a nida." Ulamachar Amra Tahora Ani. Tomorrow, the next day, she said to her husband, I'm Tahora. Amrla Etmol Timea Yoma. I'm sorry, Amrla Etmol Timea Yoma. Be Tahora. So he says, what's going on? Yesterday you said you're a nida. Today you're not a nida. Amrle Esmol Hagis Bichila Kiahi. What did she answer? She said, I was tired. So when I was tired, I just thought it was too difficult to get an explanation. So I just said I'm a nida. Okay, one second. I saw I'll tell you something amazing. Also, what a Musar has here. Shmuel's life is an open book to us. And Ksuv is that Chaf days on the base. Was it after Mea the Esr Shana? We go up to Beis Din Shel Mama. So what are you thinking right now? Gosh, why the awareness of that? Right? Yeah, this is like, I say after 120, life is an open book. Life is an open book. And in front of the Beis Din Shel Mama, every detail of my life is read and discussed and talked about, from the most mundane to the most intimate, and it's all there. My family's there, and everyone else is there. Everyone's there. It's there. Let's say it's such a lesser skill to make sure that we leave the blind that if someone reads about it, whether it's in Tosis on Ksuvas Nafchach base in the base, or it's in the base in Shalnala, I'm okay with people hearing about the life of right now. I have nothing to hide. Again, it's hard. I don't know that any of us can measure up to the metric of nothing to hide, but at least let us to be cognizant of the fact that everything we do and the way we live is an absolute open book. Perhaps not in front of others, but the mice is certainly in front of our to be cognizant of that and to make sure that we're living lives that when someone reads our narrative, will be proud of the story we've created. So Shmuel over here, so Mrs. Shmuel says to her husband, I was tired. So instead of getting into it, again, I just said, I'm Tamea. But I'm really not in either. So the Gemara says, so ultimately again, so finished Osis, us the Shal Rab, so Shmuel asked the Shaila of Rab. Imagine Shmuel comes to Rab, he tells him the whole story. He says, listen, what Talacha? Amarle in Nasta Amasla Dvar and Amenes. This is a case of Amasla. This is a case where she's explaining why she said what she said. And therefore, what Chabon said, and therefore, Allah Chalamaisa, technically, Shmuel, your wife is permitted to. Rabbi said the idea of Shmuel understood the halacha for whatever the reason, he was uncomfortable accepting the halacha for himself. He was uncomfortable accepting the halacha. Therefore, again, it wasn't. So again, to be clear, the halacha is a halacha l'maisa, right? That a person's belief that flip-flop on status if they give an explanation or that change. But Shmuel himself didn't accept it. So we'll say, so therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, Shmuel, what Rashi says over here, Rashi says, the Avid Shmuel of the Benafshe, Pam Achas Amrano Ishtoking, the rest of us are Gorat, the Pirishan and Achatavla. Shmuel would not be with his wife ultimately again until she went to the mikvah. So he did not accept the Amasa for himself for whatever the reason, but Allah said we will accept the Amasa. Then Rabbanon, Shneim Omer Meis, Shneim Omer Lo Meis, Shneim Omer Niskarsha, Shneim Omer Lo Niskarsha, goes into this case. Two witnesses say a husband died. Two witnesses, that's why Yivam stays a little bit. Two witnesses say the husband didn't die. Two witnesses say the husband divorced his wife. Two witnesses say he did not divorce his wife. So what does the woman do in these situations? Ultimately, again, she shouldn't remarry. Because halakha is again a contradictory testimony. However, if halakha so she did remarry, she does not have to leave her second marriage. Okay, so the Gemara says, Rabbi Nachman says, absolutely not. If she did remarry in a situation like this, she has to go ahead and leave her second husband. So Rabbi Nachman said, but when do I say that she has to leave her second husband? That's in the case where what? The witnesses first came. And she married anyway. In other words, we'll say, so we'll call her Rachel. Rachel's married to Reuven. Two witnesses show up and say Reuven's dead. Two witnesses show up and say Reuven's not dead. She should not remarry. If she remarried, in that case, from Menachem Bar Yossi says, she has to leave her husband. But again, if she remarried and then only after, so we'll say, let's say Rachel's married to Reuven. Two witnesses show up and say what? and say Reuben died. Actually, yes, you married. And then afterwards, two witnesses show up and say Reuben's alive. Reuben's alive. And in that case, even Rabbi Menachem would agree she does not have to go ahead and keep her husband. Notates it. So we'll say, let's analyze this. How does this case work? So we'll say, here's what it sounds like. Here's what it sounds like. Allah Kulamaisa. Rachel is married to Reuben. Witnesses show up. Two witnesses say that Reuben died. And what happens? Now, according to the Tanakh, ultimately, again, I'm sorry. No, let's go with this. So two witnesses show up. Okay, let's go with the Chachamim first. Just keep it easy. So two witnesses say Reuben died. Two witnesses say Reuben didn't die. Rachel gets married anyway. What do the Chachamim say? What do the Chachamim say? Look, they say, fine, she shouldn't have gotten remarried, but if she gets remarried, she doesn't have to leave her second husband. Witnesses against two witnesses. And they will say, every single time Rachel is with her second husband, they have to bring an Asham Talui. They will say Asham Talui is a carbon that is brought for potential infraction of a kares bearing sin. So they will say, so again, Rachel may be a married woman. So I don't understand, how is she allowed to be with her second husband? To which the Gemara says, interesting enough, what's the case? Who did she marry? More interesting. Who did she marry? One of the witnesses. And I will say, remember, the witness who comes along and says that Reuben is dead, he has no suffering. So therefore, again, he has no din of Asham Talui because he's absolutely certain that Reuben is dead. That's fine, the Gemara says. What about he Baba Asham Talui? What about she herself? What about Rachel herself? Rachel herself will be subject to an Asham Talui. To which the Gemara says, Ba'omeras Bari. What's the case of saying? Where she says, I know my husband is dead. Now, how could she know for sure her husband is dead? Look at that. She Ba'omeras Bari. Ein Libi no. Shebari Li Inu Haya Kayam Hayaba. I will say, because I know that if my husband was alive, he would have come home already. The fact that he didn't come home, and the fact that there's Avis also that he's dead, tells you that Allah is dead. Therefore, I will say that's why, even though you have two opposing witnesses who say that he's still alive, ultimately, again, in these very specific cases, she marries one of the witnesses, and she says again, so therefore the husband is sure that Reuben is dead. Rachel knows that Reuben is dead. There's no Hashem Talmud. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Shnayim omnin meis, Shnayim omnin lo meis. So Rabbi Yochanan says like this: if two witnesses say that Reuben's dead, two witnesses say that Reuben's not dead, Areizu lo tinase. Ultimately, again, she should not marry. Okay, that's 2 verses 2. She shouldn't remarry. However, the Gemara says, he says, say. However, again, Allah said she did get remarried. She does not have to leave her second husband. Conversely, Shneim Omer Diskausha, Omer Diskausha. 2 witnesses say that Reuben divorced Rachel. 2 witnesses say they didn't divorce. Harezo lo tinase. Rachel should not get remarried. Then he says, Teitze. Also, listen to this. So Rabbi Yochanan has a distinction. In Rabbi Yochanan's version, 2 verses 2 in the case where Reuben died, she shouldn't get remarried, but if she did, she doesn't have to leave. But conversely, 2 verses 2 in the case of divorce, 2 witnesses say that Reuben divorced Rachel. 2 witnesses say that Reuben did not divorce Rachel. Rachel shouldn't remarry. But if she did want halacha, she has to leave husband number 2. Wow, the Gemara says, why is there a distinction between the first case and the second case? To which the Gemara says, interesting. What are we talking about? We'll say, what's the case over here? The case is where you don't have 2 anything. Rather, what do you have? An 8 echad. So the Gemara says, listen to this. 8 echad omer meis, and we knew that one of the trade. Well, so we're going to stop over here for today. We'll pick up in Ner Hashem. Remember again, tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh. So Ner Hashem, we begin at 5:45. We're going to be perfect. We're going to catch up. Ner Hashem, we're totally on track. I would say incredible got an incredible sugi tomorrow. Shkoyach.
Yo, dog.
Oh,
Oh,
your
your
mic's
mic's way down.
Hello?
Hello?
Go say something.
Go say something again?
What are your thoughts?
Alright, I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
that was
that was
pretty much like you
said
at
and
the
at the
start
start
of
of
it.
it, like it's like a
Overwhelming
overwhelming
amount
amount of evidence
from
from
all
all
those
those
different
different
witnesses.
witnesses.
It is. It's overwhelming. That's a perfect word for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, what
has happened
with
with the disclosure
progress
since
since
then?
then?
Because I've seen like it was in like the 90s.
It happened May 9th, 2001. And what would you think happened within 4 months of this happening?
I don't know. They
seemed like
they were
making a big deal about going to Congress
Right.
with it.
And what would happen within 4 months of this happening?
9/11.
Exactly. And
The distraction.
exactly. And basically, no one had time for this type of discussion when all of that was going on. And okay, so you want to know what happened? They had this again in 2021. And I mean, at this point, it's an open secret. If you want to look into it, you'll recognize that this is happening. And like you said beautifully, it's an overwhelming amount of information. And for anyone out there who wants to just do a little bit of work, and they will find out that this is um, occurring. It's been occurring for many years, and then they have to realize that the people who are on their news perhaps are not in charge, and or on the in the government, and that's very scary to some individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm
Oh, sorry, I'm
plugging
plugging
my
my
phone.
phone from 1%.
Absolutely, do what you need to do.
Plugged in. Have you spoken to Jacob about this?
Who's Jacob?
You know
You know what I'm talking about? He jumped every 5 mini golf with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Have I spoken to Jacob? That's an interesting question. That you no, he and I don't really. We get into more religious talks, not these types of talks. But why do you think it'd be interesting or something?
Oh yeah, no, I'm curious what for some reason what he would think about it.
I
feel like he would
probably
probably believe it was true.
But
But
the thing is,
it's been like hardwired in people's brains,
like
basically where it's like
if you
if you
state that you
state that you believe this shit, it's like you're classified as like insane, basically.
So there's just like
a lot of stigma, like just
coming
out as a believer.
That's exactly right. And that's why you just can't really care about what people think, and you've got to make up your mind for yourself. And if you're able to do that, you will be um, you will perhaps be freed of some of the the nonsense like that people want to say that this isn't real, that this is it is real. I mean that's the thing. Let's just get down to brass tacks. It is absolutely real. It's a real phenomenon. Anyone who says anything otherwise has not done enough research on it. And I'm talking to you, and I'm saying this as once one of the great skeptics of this topic. I would publicly debate people on it, and I have become a a believer. I'm absolutely a believer, and I'm an advocate for disclosure.
James, James Dean of UFO.
Oh, that's way bigger than the James Dean of comedy. I can tell you that. So, it seems like you're convinced. I mean, that it doesn't really.
Well, they didn't. Here, just give me 1 second to blend my soup.
Take your time.
But come up with any additional points.
Absolutely. Don't you want to see? Don't you want to see? And don't you want to see a craft? Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need.
So I mean, provided my safety is compromised, then I would like to see a UFO and ideally fly around in one at Mach 20 or above, and also fly to Pluto or something, or Saturn. Want to see Saturn. If the opportunity was available, get me to Saturn, like a day field trip or something.
Okay. Do you want?
Would you?
Oh fuck yeah! I jump at the chance. And
You already watched the Bob Lazar 3D animated movie documentary?
no, I told you, or maybe I didn't tell you, but I am waiting for you.
You didn't watch did you see the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yeah, I watched that like 5 times.
Okay. So we're gonna watch the movie then?
Nope, you've got more work to do, son. I want you to see what a UFO looks like. Isn't that something that's important to you?
Yeah, in the Bob Lazar movie, it shows.
No, I want you to see actual real footage of a UFO discovery.
You've showed me the
Excellent.
video.
Okay, we've already done that. Thank you for the reminder. Wonderful. Okay, now it's time for Bob Lazar's first interview with Joe Rogan. It's fascinating.
No, I've seen that too.
When did you watch that?
We watched it together, dog. You may watch it like a while
Oh,
ago.
okay. Okay, now we're gonna watch Joe Rogan's second, or the second one, and then we'll watch the movie.
The second one's like 3 hours long, and the movie's
All right,
like an
it's
hour.
actually 4 hours long. So it looks like you've got another 5 hours of work to put in, son.
Alright, let's just do the movie.
Fuck that. No, we got to do Bob Lazar. It's Bob Lazar night. So put on Joe Rogan, Bob Lazar.
Okay, well, I won't be able to stay up for the whole thing. Just FYI.
Okay.
Well, after it's in.
Okay.
But I'll put on.
Excellent.
Also, my computer mic on Discord. The reason even though I've used it in the past on numerous occasions. Any idea why that would be?
Could be a driver issue. It doesn't work at all. At the very bottom, very bottom where they have mic, it says mics. Did you switch it?
I've switched between. There's two options. They're both MacBook Pro microphone. Their system default MacBook Pro microphone and their MacBook Pro microphone built in as the input devices. And I seems to just not. It just doesn't detect the microphone.
It doesn't detect the microphone at all.
Yeah, I'm going through the help thing right now.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but still doesn't seem to be finding my mic.
What do you think's the issue? I know that's a stupid question, but like maybe we could figure it out.
Audio. Yeah, I mean, there's really not that. There's not a giant amount of settings to even adjust. Basically the input. I think it might be a browser setting to allow the microphone.
Yeah, in the upper left corner next to the bar.
Yeah, I'm using Brave browser. I think it might be.